of...
If you find the game too easy or too difficult, remember you can change the difficulty settings in the options section.
Here we go. We'll play a little bit. Like I was saying last time, in my first video stream, this is my second, so for PS4 at least. Trying it on both Xbox One and PS4, see how it goes. But here on this broadcast, we'll just talk about the main games for PS4 that really get me going, I guess you could say. Because I love philosophy, so I live for it, I guess you could say. But then everybody does, you know. Unless, you know, there's the killing of ideology. But here we go. Let's talk about the ideology. I might have to do something different this time. That's what I'm kind of scared for. Making a completely different decision. I'm supposed to join Todd over there. No, time to go then.
Coming? You've been gone for 2 weeks, so the place is a mess. You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals, and you take care of... God damn it, what's the crap on now? Alice! Alice! Oh, there you go. That's Alice. You look after her. Homework, bath, all that crap. Got it?
Yes, yes.
Get started down here and do upstairs.
Look, first thing I want to say is that I know the first justification for this game is to say that it's about people building the atmosphere that was in the old school traditions, you know, wives cleaning, things like that, the woman of the house, things like that. But I actually don't see it that way. It's actually pedantic tasks. But the funny thing about it is I kind of feel like it's almost trying to keep something wholesome that wasn't wholesome anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but how would I say? How distant everything gets once you lose people close to you. Maybe drugs, maybe something like that. There's something funny about this game because it kind of talks about the issues and the restraints and the, you know, how things collect dishes, activate vacuum cleaner. Okay, collect dishes. First off, I don't know where the dishes are, but oh, here we are. But it's like utilization more than anything. I think this is almost a comparison about what the times were like before, that we were just utilizing people. And that's really the difference about what the androids in general and this system of being.
Yeah.
But it was like you're kind of not bringing feeling into it. Just like today. You know, it's funny. I'm going to pause for a second because I'm realizing something. It's the same kind of thing, really, nowadays. So if you're just into casual sex or something, think about it. The older things were exactly like this android stuff. Like Kara is here, just being a part in the system at the house. which is how people think, in systems, most of the time. In the idea of a system, as civilization, you're always going to have the mentality of the system. Not me. I think that's what really changes my thought on this, with Kara especially, is that there is something more to care about. And this is the thing, this is the atmosphere of the story. Let me see if I can do this. This is a hard thing to do with the main trigger button in the middle. This is probably the hardest thing to do. Funny that I'm just watching this in the game.
Bring me a cold beer.
Right away.
And of course, that's the first rule. If you think about it, she's not scolding him.
Get the fuck out of here.
Now,
Get the fuck out of here.
I'll get back to work.
okay, read Android Power, read Connecting the Dots, check backyard, talk with Alice, disturb Todd, rewash clothes, find red ice. Okay. And that's all I need to check. Yes. Check backyard. There we go. Well, since I'm out here, I could do my work. So I'm starting to understand what the regimented lifestyle is, what the atmosphere of the games are.
Aren't you going to school today? It's not very nice out. You might catch cold. I could get you a sweater if you want.
This is the thing, you gotta talk to the person, finesse your way with conversation, I guess you could say. Although I don't like the word finesse, so I have to apologize for that one. I don't think that really establishes the position that you're in as a caretaker, as a person in that kind of position. You kind of have to work around a lot of things that you may not always agree with, I guess you could say. Wish there was an android paying attention to this game. Wish I had some viewers, but I don't. So, this is just me talking my philosophy of these games. What they mean. Detroit Become Human is one of my favorites because of that. It just really establishes the
You shouldn't mess around with my stuff. It makes me nervous.
I'm sorry, Todd.
You just stay the fuck out of my business. Unless you want to piss me off. You want to piss me off?
No, Todd.
It's funny, I had the same experience, in a way, because he's already pissed off. This reminded me of somebody that was on drugs that I knew. One day he'd be fine, the next day he'd be heavily upset with everybody. Sounds like a strange way of saying things, but that's how it felt a lot of the times. Like he literally was just upset. It didn't matter what you did to try to fix things, he'd be upset. And I think that's really what this character is like. Just the same thing. Very upset.
Alice! You better stop that right now! Why is she always...
Did I miss it? Disturb Todd. Oh. Okay, so now I gotta just... How can I disturb him though? Let's see. I guess taking all the trash out. Come on, be disturbed, be disturbed. See, I wish I could just annoy him somehow. But looks like I can't just disturb him. Ah, shit.
Out of the way, for fuck's sake!
There we
I'm sorry,
go.
Todd. It won't happen again.
Is that it? I hope that's it. Did I disturb him? I did. That's all I wanted to do.
Fuck, man.
I've made a good start down here. I'll head upstairs.
Do what you have to do, but stop bothering me.
Let's say clean Todd's room, clean Alice's room, Reed, clean bathroom, clean toilet, Alice goes to her room. Jeez. Maybe it's an adult magazine or something. She doesn't really look around, so you can't really have that. But like I was saying last time, this game really is quite a spectacle to me. It's really emotional, because it's an emotional pile driver into things that you wouldn't really expect, I guess you could say. Even though it seems like you're just doing kind of various tasks, it doesn't seem like it's important. But at the same time, that's the whole point. That everything and everybody, caretaker, rebel, police officer, detective, things like that, all those things are kind of running rampant in this storyline. And the caretaker in this story is basically been around a whole mess. You know, that's the funny thing about it, is that what's the mess then? Why does someone else have to keep it clean? Well, because maybe the original person doesn't really know how. Lost some ability. You know, and when I usually think about that, I'm like, well, maybe it's just something that people lose their vantage point over the focus on. Like, for myself included, I always think about the fact, I always think about that Kara sees gun, okay. Clean toilet, tidy pills. You know, as a person who takes care of somebody, maybe there's a certain kind of thinking to it. And maybe there's just certain kind of thinking to this whole identity and all these characters. And clean toilet, it says. I don't even know where the toilet is. Where is it?
Now to sports. First up, basketball. As the Gears prepare for their critical...
Another 225,000 jobs were lost from the U.S. economy in October.
President Warren spoke today at the opening of a new CyberLife plant near...
See, so it's kind of like the same sort of vibe as...
Watch it.
Here we go, cleaning the bathroom. Kind of reminds me of Mickey D's, right? But looking at this, I always think like how much it must be about, you know, how the old nuclear family kind of thing was. But in a way, this is very different. But it's similar too, because it tells you basically that the nuclear family idea is always brought along in some way, you know. Something somewhere is still benefiting from keeping that here, you know. I'm looking at the mirror right now, and you still see that. You still see that sort of thinking, that mentality that's still there. Which, I mean, of course is still alive, you know. You can't, like, offer some idea and expect it to not be 100% in some way. Because of course, this whole story.
Just want to tidy up your room a little.
See?
I only need 2 minutes. Is that okay, Alice?
Yeah, let's take care of this. Because it does... Huh. See, I hope I did everything. Kara discovers a way down. Okay. Yeah, I did that. Talk with Alice. Alice gives Kara a key. Open Alice's box. Let's try this. Factual, friendly, diplomatic.
I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again.
Name Kara. Interests. Seem quiet. Mother.
Your father said you chose my name. Kara. It's nice. How did you choose it? You should tell me about yourself. What you like to do, where you like to go, your favorite foods. That would really help me. What about your mother? Will she be home soon?
Always gets to me, that part. You know, you feel it, how it just sort of, you know. That's the thing about things sometimes that maybe I don't notice personally because I'm kind of an overexposed person. So when I see something like what Kara just did, to get that emotion to come out, it's almost like, well, I always do that. So it's like being open, is kind of like, and you know, it's like I already have that going for me, you know. So really the only part I have to take care of is how people relate to my overexposed, you know, kind of way of doing things, a way of expressing myself. And I just have to deal with the conflicts of what that leads to, you know. Because there's going to be conflict with that, just as much as there's conflict with this sort of relationship when you're building it. There's always going to be a conflict in that way. I think the difference is that there are obviously certain ones that is too much of a conflict. If you have a wall up, for example, or if you are grandstanding. Those two ways can be definite hazards at times that you wouldn't expect. But they become that. You know, they become something that's like, ugh, I don't want to deal with somebody like that. And then you kind of have like a half and half point about what to do next. I just wanted to bring this up because it is an important thing within the storyline. More important than I would think it would be. Kid being a kid, that's all. That's all it really is. Which is good. It's all the kid needs to be. And I think that's what really shows here, is that point of, oh shit,
I'm playing.
Here we go.
Playing. I know what you're thinking. Think your dad's a lowlife. Huh? Fucking loser? Can't get a job, take care of his family? Don't you think I tried to make things work? But whatever I do, when someone comes along, they just fuck it all up!
Funny thing about this is this is supposed to be about the relationship with family. But sometimes it's a relationship in your fucking mind.
You hate me! God, what am I doing? I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know I love you, don't you? You know I love you.
Yeah. That's really heavy stuff right there. Very emotional. There you go. That's it, guys.